All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, live and in person here in city council chambers and broadcasting via Zoom. Let me hit yes, I will join as panelist. Hold on. All right, we're going to go ahead and get the meeting started with our invocation given by Mayor Pro Tem Dunn, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us.
Father in heaven, we are grateful to come together as a community, to listen and speak of the place that we call home. We are grateful for the turn of the season, the slow change, the slow, longer days. Amen.
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 The Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order, 6:01, and we will move into our roll call. Councilmember Severs.
Present.
Councilmember Darrow. Here. Councilmember Ball. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Dunn.
Happy to be here.
Councilmember Klingler.
Present.
Councilmember Kurtz. Present. Councilmember Fisher. Here. All right, all present and accounted for. Good to have everybody in the same room. All right, we will move on to agenda approval. I do believe we have at least one modification, then we'll go around.
Madam Mayor, I move that general business items A, B, and C, appointments to committees and commissions, be moved earlier in the meeting for the attendees that are here to support it. If we could put that after 7A and maybe call it 7B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of moving the appointments to right before reports and inquiries, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, do we have any other requests? Councilmember Ball.
Yeah, I'd like to move that, let's see, consent agenda item D, City Park security camera upgrade be promoted to general business, wherever you'd like to put it.
Wait. Oh, D, okay.
Yeah, D.
To general business
Mhm.
action items, that
Correct.
would be action item, yeah, G then. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor of moving consent agenda item D to action items G, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Any other requested amendments to the agenda? All right, not hearing any. Motion to approve the amended agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor of approving the amended, the amended as agended. Okay, we'll try that again. The agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, not hearing any, we have an agenda. Okay, that brings us to citizen comments. If there's anybody here in person in chambers who'd like to make a citizen comment, we have white half sheets over by the exit sign in the back. If you want to fill one of those out and get it to Rochelle at the end of the table and she'll get it to me. If we get any of those, then I will go through the rules of engagement. If you have a comment and you're online, please shoot a note to our meeting host in the chat feature. And if we have any of those, I'll go through the rules. If not, I won't bore you with those. We have nobody online. All right. Just remember, there will be another chance at the end of the meeting after upcoming agenda items. So since we have no citizen comments, we'll move on to announcements, proclamations, and special presentations. So tonight, hoping we would have some family here, but as you all know, we had lost former Mayor Brickner back in November, and the memorial service was a couple weekends ago. And I had asked to put a proclamation just honoring his service on tonight's agenda. I would like to add some of my personal. So let me toss that down here just in case. Some personal comments from me personally before we get into the proclamation. I considered Shane a friend. Not just a former colleague. He was really the big little brother I never had. He was much younger than me, but obviously stature-wise, he was much bigger. While working alongside Shane here in Liberty Lake Council and then watching him as mayor, it was really, truly something special. He didn't lead from a distance. He was always present, engaged, and deeply invested in the people and the future of this city. A lot of you may not be aware, but in the time span between being elected mayor and taking office, Our city was faced with a water emergency. When the outgoing mayor failed to respond to the calls from the Liberty Lake Sewer and Water District, Shane stepped in and took charge, both with his own time and with his own money. He was out spending his own money, running to Costco, getting pallets and pallets of water in his own truck to hand out to our residents as we made our way through that crisis. On the council, Shane listened more than he spoke, and when he did speak, it was thoughtful and sincere, and he did a lot of what I'm doing right now, which is not like me. So I think I'm got some help right now. He cared about getting things right, not just getting credit. As mayor, the same heart guided him. He led with humility, fairness, and a steady belief that Liberty Lake could always be better if we worked together. And it's Shane who was behind the Liberty Lake Together logo, which he commissioned and paid for and turned that over to the city for use. What I'll remember most about Shane wasn't a single decision or accomplishment. It was just how much he cared. He cared about the city, about the people in it, and about doing the right thing, even when it was hard. He showed up because he believed in service and because he believed in us. Shane's leadership shaped the city of Liberty Lake, but his friendship shaped those of us lucky enough to know him. Shane lifted people, sometimes literally, and led with kindness and strength. There was a time when my dad was serving on council. He and my mom were going to a fundraiser for SNAP, and Shane was going to, and for some reason I couldn't go. And Shane went and gave my parents a ride, and literally he had to lift my tiny 5'1", 90-pound mother up from the ground into that big truck of his and lift her up and put her into the truck. And I just always have a visual of that in my mind. I think she adopted him that day. I'm better for having served alongside him and better for having known him. And Liberty Lake is better because of his service. He's deeply missed and he will always be part of this community. So with that, I'd like to have Rochelle read the proclamation, and then I will turn it over to the council to approve, and then I'll have it signed.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Shane Brickner served the city of Liberty Lake with distinction and dedication as a city council member, mayor pro tem, and mayor, demonstrating a strong commitment to public service and deep civic leadership. And whereas during his tenure in elected office, Shane Brickner was known for his thoughtful approach, collaborative leadership style, and focus on the long-term health and success of Liberty Lake and community. And whereas Shane Brickner served as mayor in 2020, a period defined by unprecedented challenges and uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas during this difficult time, Mayor Brickner provided steady leadership and worked closely with city staff, fellow elected officials, and regional partners to protect public health, maintain essential services, and support residents and local businesses. And whereas Shane Brickner's leadership during that time of crisis reflected his dedication to the well-being, resilience, and unity of the Liberty Lake community. And whereas Shane Brickner passed away on November 8th, 2025, and his passing represents a significant loss to the city of Liberty Lake and to all who knew and worked with him.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion from the council for approval.
Move to support the proclamation.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second from Councilmember Severs. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the mayor and city council of the city of Liberty Lake, Washington, that the city hereby honors the life, leadership, and lasting contributions of former Mayor Shane Brickner and expresses its sincere gratitude for his service to the Liberty Lake community. Be it further proclaimed that the city of Liberty Lake extends its deepest sympathies to the family, friends, and loved ones of Shane Brickner and encourages the community to remember and reflect upon his legacy of public service, adopted this third day of February 2026. Thanks, everybody. All right. And I've got copies we can get to the family. All right, that brings us up to our appointments. First up,
General business. Madam Mayor, I move the appointment of Laura Demont to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
is Laura here tonight? Come on up. Nice to meet you. I don't think we've actually met. So typically in the past, just so for background for everybody, for the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, obviously I council decides who our representative is and approves that. So the membership of the rest of the Lodging Tax Advisory Council is made up from our hoteliers and different entities. So we rely on those entities to nominate and appoint their own representative. But we'd like to hear from you just real quick. What interests you in, serving in the role, and what are your goals? And just we look forward to getting to know you a little bit better. If you have just
Yes, thank you. So I've been general manager at the Best Western Plus for just over a year now, but have just over 20 years in hospitality management, mostly in the Hawaiian Islands, and then a little in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Western Washington in the last 5 years. So being here in Liberty Lake, and having the privilege to lead the team at the Best Western Plus of Liberty Lake residents has been my absolute honor. And we are very excited to just continue to elevate what we can offer the community by running that establishment to the highest regard and bringing it up to the standards of our own management company and of our new owner, as well as of this community. So I'm grateful for this opportunity and just excited to be able to help be a part of this community and lead my team to just be a better part of everything going on here.
Well, we're looking forward to your participation. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I already moved, I
Oh,
think.
you did. Sorry.
I'll second.
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 Okay, we have a second. All right. Those in favor of confirming the appointment of Laura Demott to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. For your
Thanks for
service.
being here. All right, David.
Madam Mayor, I move the appointment of David Stolberg to the Civil Service Commission.
All right, come on up. David, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Similar, we've had a chance to interview you, David, and we're excited about his participation, but I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself a little bit.
So I'm a educator in the Central Valley School District, and I've been in Liberty Lake since 2015. And quite honestly, I saw the advertisement for the position, Public Service Commission, and I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to get involved in the community that I've been a part of for so long. And it's just anytime I have the opportunity to work with the local police department, it was just something that was of interest to me. It's something like I feel like, again, I could give back to the community. So yeah, here I am.
All right, does anybody have any questions? And again, we're looking forward to new participation, and it's just, and I say this now every time I think that we have new commission appointees. It's just so nice to see so many new faces get involved, because for a long time, no offense to anybody, we've seen the same people who are great volunteers, but it's great to see more people in the community getting involved, and we really appreciate you stepping up. All right, so those in favor of appointing David Stolberg to the Civil Service Commission, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, welcome. Motion approved. All right, last but not least, Jacob. Welcome. Good to see you again.
Madam Mayor, I move the appointment of Jacob Van Landingham to the Civil Service Commission.
Second.
Go ahead, motion and a second from Councilmember Severs. Would like to introduce yourself as well.
Perfect. Well, nice to meet you all. Thank you. Like David, been here since about 2014. Lived here and kind of worked in the area while attending Washington State. I have a degree in criminal justice and spent just a year as a correctional officer down in Boise, Idaho, before moving back up here. But really proud to call Liberty Lake my home and wanted to get a little bit more involved. My wife and I just had a son who's about 8 months old. Just wanted to be, really kind of plugged into where we live locally and just be kind of proud to represent where we live. And so just happy to be here, happy to learn, and then a big proponent of law enforcement and just like to help where I can. So.
Super. Does anybody have any questions? Well, I'm excited with this appointment. We're filling our first adjunct member of the Civil Service Commission. So it'd be nice to be able to make sure we have quorum and have more involvement. So all those in favor of the appointment of David, sorry, I'm in the wrong item. We already did David, Jacob Van Landingham to the Civil Service Commission, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, welcome.
Thank you.
I think we're getting our commissions back full again. So thanks again for your willingness to step up, you guys. Appreciate it. Okay. That takes us back to reports and inquiries. Do we have any reports from City Council? Mayor Pro Tem.
I just volleyed that the planning is underway for the Pavilion Park Summer Festival, and we're working through movie titles and Yeah, that big 4th of July, Founders and Fireworks,
Yes.
lots of things to come. So looking forward to being able to announce that to the community.
Great, thank you. All right, Councilmember Ball.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that last Tuesday, or no, Wednesday, I don't know, last week, Ben was gracious enough to take me on a tour of what's been happening at the Public Works Yard. And I went to the greenhouse, and they've already got some small bushes ready to plant this summer, and then some little guys that won't be ready till next summer. But it's really a nice addition. I am very impressed with Dan Moss, our horticulture / he's really a tree guy, he told me. But he seems to know a lot about flora and fauna, and I think it's a great thing to have him on board too. And they also showed me the pad where the new building's going to be, the prefab. So anyway, good things happening at the Public Works Yard. Oh, and I really like the way you separated the dirt piles.
Right, okay, anybody else?
I just do one more shout
Oh.
out to Ben for the renderings, the median changes to Moulter. The
yeah.
community is kind of, when things change, to have a visual of what it will be is a really important part of it. So just an
True.
important thing to get out in front of people. Thank you, Ben.
Well, yeah, and some of these new little plants will go in there, so.
All right, Councilmember Darrow.
I just want to say that I went to the Association of Washington Cities City Action Days. Had a great time, learned a lot, met some local leaders, and yeah, learned about the issues, brought our issues to the Senate and our representative, and I can't wait to keep going down that path. It was great. Also, just seeing Olympia, and they had some interesting things there. I liked they had a little farmers market indoor
Yes.
space that was really cool. Something maybe we could look at. It was just a really nice space that had little bungalows and little picnic tables and covered area. And it was a great trip. All in all, I still kind of processing, what I took in, which was a lot, but it was really nice to be part of the current issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And a wild ride in general.
Yeah. Any other council reports? All right, I'll move on to mine, and I will jump off of Summer's report. And if anybody ever has a chance to travel with Summer,
Samesies.
it's a lot of fun. She took care of me and kept me from walking into the men's restroom, kept me from walking in dog poop on the sidewalk.
I do what I can.
Kept me from getting hit by a car. Yeah, so we made a great pair. I was a mess and she kept me straight. Could not,
I give some credit to Mark, though.
Yeah.
He was a good companion as well.
but she couldn't keep me from getting shoved to the ground by a protester at Capitol Hill. So that was a quite interesting experience. But that being said, yeah, again, the AWC City Action Day is always a great event, and it's difficult because the GSI trip to Olympia is the very next week, and that's a struggle for me trying to decide sometimes. But we do get a lot more personal attention, I think, on the AWC trip with our lobbyists that are focused on city things. On the side, and GSI is great; we're very involved, but they're more focused on the businesses. So spending our time with our AWC lobbyists, we had time with Representative Chase, Senator Christian, and we had a little bit of time with Representative Schmidt at the legislative reception, but she had another commitment that night. But we had time there and time at dinner that first night with Chase and Christian, and then we also had individual meetings with each of them the next day. So I've got some priorities out in front of them, and I believe after some back and forth, it sounds like Representative Chase is going to try to get us some money for the Sprague project. So keep your fingers crossed. I don't know if that would have any effect in maybe trying to move that sooner, but we'll baby steps and let's see if we can get the money first. Governor Ferguson did come and speak for a little bit, and I actually learned quite a bit. I'm trying to remember, because I've been to several of the AWC meetings. I had to leave early the last couple of years for family medical things, but I don't believe Governor Inslee was ever there, was he?
He was
He
at
was,
one of
okay,
them, yeah.
Okay, but yeah, it was great having him there, and he went through a little bit about some past procedures. I won't say policy, but sometimes the way that the budget's been put together at the state level about the pros come in and say, revenues are gonna rise at X%, but the legislature comes in and says, but yeah, but we're gonna budget as if they're rising 5% instead of 3%. So that is not his goal anymore. He is not willing to sign a budget, that does that. So, wherever you fall on that spectrum, it was really good to hear from him, hear some, what I felt was very honest feedback on some of the reasons the state has gotten, to where we are. Okay, that aside, really great turnout Wednesday, at the Garner Hotel for the, Greater Spokane Valley Chamber Networking event. I think they were expecting about 70. I think we had more than 80 show up. It was a lot of people in that small lobby space and very loud, but really great to see our local business leaders, come out and get to know each other and, get to know, our renovated space and just kind of see what's out there. Let me see. I did have a meeting today. I can't go into details, but wow, there's probably a new topic to most of you as I look around the dais, but just at a high level, the city of Spokane's been talking for years now about putting a utility tax on the county for the wastewater treatment facility. We have, several of the cities surrounding have come together, including us, the Valley, Millwood, to kind of fight this. It went quiet for a while, but now it's starting to rear its ugly head. So Mark, I will get you filled in on that meeting, but there was a meeting today with Mayor Padden, former Mayor Haley, the new mayor of Millwood, and I cannot remember her name, myself, Josh Kearns, Al French, and a couple more people from around here, just kind of finding out the strategy that the county wants to pursue, and they are having a meeting with the city next week. So I can't go into any more detail than that, but when we can report back, I will. Visit Spokane annual meeting is coming up in a couple weeks. I've been invited to the MAC Business Leaders Breakfast. I go to that every couple of years. It's always very interesting to see what is in store for the MAC. The Greater Spokane Valley Chamber Board Retreats coming up. That's about a half-day event. GSI Regional Economic Development Dialogue. It's an all-day meeting coming up as well. This is all still set for February. I think that's it for me at this point. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry. Members of council and guests, both in the chamber and online. Just a couple of things. I think Shane is going to pull up the report so that you can see what I'm briefing you on here. And hopefully this is more visible to the folks that are in the audience now that we have it in larger font. Maybe. Ish. So a couple of reminders off the bat deal with the legislative session. Just to point out, we're going to give you a full briefing at the next council meeting during the city administrator's report on what has happened up to that point. But we have a couple of cutoff dates that will happen between now and then. Tomorrow, in fact, is the policy committee cutoff, which means that all bills that don't have a fiscal impact have to make it through their respective policy committees to continue on in the process. And then next Monday is the fiscal committee cutoff. So all of those fiscal notes have to be attached and agreed upon to move a bill forward. So a couple of important cutoff dates that'll happen over the next week. And then we'll have a scaled down version of a bill tracker that we'll be able to brief you on. But just as a couple of reminders, we're looking at things, and you all have a copy of our legislative priorities that the council adopted. But just as a reminder, we included some language in there about being opposed to any income taxes at a state level, and those two bills dropped today regarding proposed income tax, one in the House and one in the Senate. So we're tracking those. We're tracking flock bills. We're tracking organized retail theft bills. We're tracking a bevy of land use bills. And so it's going to be an interesting remainder of this short session, but they go by like that. So look forward to that briefing on the 17th. Another reminder about the 2026 Community Satisfaction Survey. Those invitations went out in early January. We're going to hold that survey open, that respond period open through Friday, February 27th. Thus far, we've already exceeded I believe the combined totals of the previous 2 years' responses were up to like 380-ish responses. And so we want to get closer to that 600 mark so that we can use that data in a statistically significant way. So if you haven't responded yet, think about doing that. If you can't find your invitation, let us know. We'll get you set up. There's no need to miss it because you can't find the paper. And then I put this on here, and like Mayor Pro Tem Dunn mentioned in the invocation, daylight saving time is coming. All right, it's about a month away still, but I've got it on here. I'm gonna keep it on here because I'm looking forward to those longer days. Any questions about those reminders? All right, so moving on, another point that was brought up earlier, I'm going to ask Ben to come up and give you an update on the tree removal and median improvement stuff that has been happening and what you can expect to see going forward. Ben?
All right, so I think obviously that's been on a lot of people's mind the last couple of weeks since last we met. So the county they did take down all the sprague trees. They completed that this last week. Just so everybody's aware, right now the CFP has the sprague replacement project scheduled for 2930. If we do get some additional funding sources, that could definitely be moved to the left, as the mayor mentioned in her comments. That happened. That was a joint effort with the county. They contracted it with a company that they had done a lot of work with prior to. I did not anticipate them starting 2 days after it was mentioned in the newspaper. So that was one thing that the city was not as well aware of as we could be. We do recognize that we can do a better job of communicating with the public. And so that's something we've definitely taken under advisement for future projects like this. I don't anticipate a project of that magnitude happening again within the city. Obviously, we have some plum tree issues on Moulter and Country Vista. A lot of those have been removed in the medians already. We did that last fall. This winter, we were able to put the xeriscape rock down, and coming as soon as the ground is thawed, which technically it's thawed now because of our unseasonable winter, we'll be putting in those plants that were shared in the mayor's post on Facebook. And Pam, thank you for doing that. So that is what's going on with trees and medians and things like that. I did want to also include, there's been a lot of mention of Tree City. So I figured I'd kind of explain to you what all goes into being a Tree City, because we just had our 21st year application approved by the Arbor Day Foundation. So there's basically 4 things that are required to be a Tree City. You have to have a department chair, which we do, that's me. Before that, it was Jen, before I got here. And for the most part, I'm the department chair, but Dan does all the work. So I just take all the credit. We have to have a community ordinance, which we do. We have to have an annual budget that is over $2 per capita. So we're roughly 14,000 people. So we need to spend $28,000 a year to meet that requirement. Last year, we spent $86,000 a year. Now, the bulk of that was paying Dan's salary because that was the first year we brought on a full-time arborist. So there was that, and then we bought some trees and some other things. So all total, that comes out to $6.20 per capita. So we tripled the requirement for Tree City last year. And so of that, we planted 17 trees. One of those was during the Arbor Day celebration that we did over by the school. We pruned 115 trees, and I doubt we've ever done that before. And we did that because we had Dan and Todd doing a lot of that work. We did remove 32 trees, and these numbers are just city-owned trees. These aren't private trees. So next year, the sprague trees won't count that number, but anything that we have to move, because we will be removing some additional plum trees on Country Vista and Moulton, because they were damaged pretty severely when we had that really harsh winter in 22-23. But the good news is we've already, as the mayor posted on Facebook, we've already in process of purchasing 60 trees from that $20,000 allocation from this year's budget. That represents about 50% of our budget. So we expect to purchase over 100 trees by the end of the year. And the thing about trees is you can only plant them in certain times of year. So I know a lot of people get upset when we cut trees down and we don't put trees in right away. And so that's one of the reasons we do that, because if we want trees to be healthy and survive, you need to plant them at certain times of the year. That's kind of just a quick education. I'm ready to answer any questions you may have. All right. I'll see you in a bit.
All right, thanks, Ben.
Super. Thank you, Ben. Next item, I just wanted to give another quick reminder and ask the council and everyone who's listening, as you are going through your day-to-day walks and are encountering people, and they may ask you a question like, hey, I saw a pothole over on Moulter. How do I report that to the city? The answer is use the make a request system. If you go onto our website, which is libertylakewa.gov, there over on the left-hand side is an anchored ribbon that has 3 buttons. One of those says make a request. You hit that, you go right into the system, and you can choose from about 60 different types of things to tell us about or ask us about using that system. I've got it noted here as a 311 system. I hesitate to call it that because we don't have the 311 component tied to our phone system. But if you go online and look up SeeClickFix, which is the brand that we're using for our system, it calls it a 311 system. So it is a customer relationship management, request management system that has the capabilities of being tied into a phone network. We just don't have ours tied into the phone network. So adoption has been slow on this, which you would expect. We just made this transition back in October. But certainly as we get into spring and things start blooming and the freeze-thaw cycle has completed and we start seeing things happening on the roadways, this is what you would refer anyone to who's asking about, how do I let the city know about whatever so that they can come out and address it. And we should see that use rate go up and become a most effective tool to help us not only engage residents and keep them informed about all of those requests, but just to help ourselves maybe pinpoint some maintenance activities that we can see patterns emerging as these things are reported. And then finally, any questions about that before I move on to the last item? Yes, sir.
I was just gonna comment to Ben. He did give me a tour just like he gave Linda. So, you know, he's explained how he goes the extra mile. He monitors the Facebook page. And if anybody even mentions something, he's right on top of it. And I was really impressed with the turnaround time. I don't want to give him a big head because he's already gotten a bunch of compliments already, but yeah, it's pretty amazing how he gets that stuff taken care of. So shout out to Ben.
Way to go, Ben. And team,
Yep.
everybody else.
Yeah, Mark, real quick on the 311. I think the more we can stop saying 311, the better, because I got the impression from at least one Facebook post that somebody was trying to call 311.
Potentially.
Yeah, so we either need to explain that better or try to take that out of our verbiage.
Sure. And like I said, that's why I hesitate to use that
Yeah.
because we don't have that set up. But it refers to our system as that. So people are going to see that.
Yeah, I just remember seeing that post and I thought, we have a 311 system? Like, when did we do that? So.
Noted.
Yeah, thanks.
And then finally, we have a city council retreat coming up on February 24th. We have the date solidified, time solidified. And so really, I just wanted to use maybe a couple of minutes to get some feedback on a couple of logistical things like menu and possibly agenda beyond the sort of 75% piece of just getting the council dynamic kind of the communication channels flowing in all directions, getting to know one another better, what sort of motivated people to want to be on council, what makes you tick, that kind of thing. What is that second agenda item that can round out that 4 hours, and then we can move on. So anyone have any, and I'm going to stop talking because I don't need to be talking. You all need to be talking to determine those things. So let us know what those are.
Anybody?
Hey, the date sounds appropriate. I think it's a good choice, and I know there's some work put in to find an appropriate date for everybody, so I'm good with the 24th.
Yeah, so aside from, like I said, you know, I kind of went through my wishes for the retreat, but again, remind this is your guys' retreat, not mine. Is you know, to try to make that personal connection with everybody. But we do have 4 hours, so if there's, you know, maybe another topic we can maybe start to introduce. Mark and I talked about maybe kind of getting everybody at a high level overview of infrastructure, financing and planning over the next several years and long term. What are the options? Maybe just doing an intro to that. If that's something you guys are interested in doing at that meeting. And then we also want to talk about, you know, food.
I would agree. I think doing some long range facility planning.
Yeah, everybody needs to get really close to their mic because people online can't.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I would agree. I think we need to do some long range facility planning because we've got some really big ticket items coming up, roads and some of the sewer and water and everything we have here. So just, I think, to get a brush of that and what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, I think, if Kyle's available that night, obviously, but yeah, because I know we started that conversation a little bit last year, but obviously much newer audience. So I think maybe if we can get that conversation started. I think I saw Councilmember Kurt first.
Sure.
Okay,
Spoke to Kyle about it briefly, but if it's not too much of a lift to start looking at a longer term pro forma on our finances also. So projections for 5 to 10 years out. And
so is that
understand
something
different
you want to
variables.
go through at that meeting, or is that just a general request?
At that meeting would be great, if it's possible.
Okay, we're taking some
It-
notes.
it-
Right.
We don't have a lot of time before this meeting, so I don't want to over
Right.
ask either, so.
Yeah.
But we can at least start understanding the variables
Oh,
as we
yeah.
go in there.
Super. Councilmember Kurtz.
I guess what I was thinking for this one was a little bit more about like building the council dynamic and those relationships and things. So I like
Right.
the ideas. But I'm wondering if those could be different special meetings that we could have sometime soon, because I do think that they're both relevant. An idea popped into my head, and I don't always have the best ideas. But one was having some time to interact in smaller groups about certain things, but then also having some individual interaction and like a speed interaction. I'm not going to say dating because that's not what we do here. But like some different prompts and different questions to go and have time to just get some ideas about who each of us are. I know some of us have had the opportunity to meet each other outside. But if there were if people are interested in that, and y'all can be like, no, thank you. But I think just facilitating some different ways for us to build our council relationships together would be what I'd like to get out of the retreat.
Yeah, and again, Mark and I are talking about that. Well, we have been, and so we're brainstorming on what those activities look like, what those questions look like. And I know Mayor Pro Tem had brought up the question of a facilitator, and I had been thinking about that before as well. However, I guess I've got some battle scars from over the last couple of years where we have had some facilitators, and especially last year, it really kind of went down the path that we didn't really accomplish what we wanted to last year. It seemed like our facilitator had one thing in mind and it wasn't what we had in mind. So I was kind of looking at this one as very much more relaxed, ad hoc, with some structure to it, obviously, some planned activities. But you know what, if we get off on a subject, that is working well, I don't want somebody standing and say, okay, well, we need to do this at minute 12 and this at minute 19 and go from there. So I think, with some of your input between now and probably the next week, and then with Mark and I and some of the staff members trying to pull things together, I think we'd be in pretty good shape. Councilmember Klingler.
I prefer the speed dating and more of the group kind of thing, because unless we have enough time so that you can come back and kind of almost share out what you learned about one another. Otherwise you might miss an opportunity. I've been in a lot of those in the corporate setting, and it ends up being really nice connection between 1 and 2, but you may hear a lot from the rest of the group. So
Gotcha.
I'm just throwing my hat in the ring. I prefer a more, open, where you can hear what other people are asking and kind of vibe and.
More of a round table.
Yeah.
Councilmember Ball.
Yeah, I agree that I don't think the facilitator we had, it was 2 years ago, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and I just didn't see the point, and so I would prefer it to be more of an organic type gathering, and kind of similar to what Councilmember Klingler just said. But yeah, I really don't think we need a facilitator. And I would also like to just get a feel for what everybody's vision is for Town Square. So.
Councilmember Severs.
Understand the hesitancy on a facilitator. I guess I would ask that maybe we can come up with some goals that we're trying to get out of this 4 hours together. I cringe really hard when I hear let's be loose and just talk for 4 hours. That is not what I think a retreat is for. And so I want to be careful on the connotation. They say let's articulate some clear defined goals, and perhaps we elect one of ourselves. I would go as far as to say the mayor pro tem that we just elected to say, maybe you can kind of be our facilitator in a way. I mean, you're a member of the group, but to help kind of continue to move the agenda along, not cut off conversations, but let's move it along so we can accomplish what we set out to accomplish.
Well, and
That's a fair-
maybe we,
that's a
you know,
fair-
we take the first 15, 20 minutes, since we'll all be in that headspace. Okay, these are the, you know, and we'll keep it short, right? These are the main things we want to accomplish and have that set the tone. Because, you know, we may think of something different between now and then. If we start off the day with that, you know, setting our couple goals, and again, I kind of, you know, and loosey-goosey is not what I was thinking of. But again, you know, we came out of that last retreat with people making promises that were never kept.
Gotcha.
We had goals, we met them on paper at the meeting, and those things never came to fruition. It was a lot of lip service, and that's not what I don't think you guys want that. I think you guys want to make sure you can interact honestly and openly with each other. So we can do the city business and we know where everybody stands and respect where everybody stands, even if you disagree. So yeah, points taken. Councilmember Darrow.
Not too far out of city business, but I would be interested specifically for city business in what people's additional skill sets are, interests, and things that might be, you know, sort of unimportant at the time, whether it's an interest in AI or a disinterest in AI or a, you know, art background or a heavy tech background or specific legislative issues. Not going, again, I don't know where to go with that yet, but I would love to find out if there are people who are like-minded about certain things and people who don't want that. So when we're thinking about subcommittees or small groups or something, we have a little bit of an idea of that. And again, things that maybe are a little further out from what we're thinking right now, just in case something like that comes up.
Sure. All great input. Councilmember Fisher, I haven't heard from you.
I'm just agreeing with what everyone's saying, and I also think there should be some structure.
Yeah.
But again, back to what you've said, I've had a really bad facilitator and everybody leaves mad.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for us
Yeah.
to spend that kind
Yeah.
of time.
I think we've got enough talent between
I think we do too.
those of us here and to manage it properly. And yeah, I think if we're over managed, that's when people start to get a little irritated. So, okay, well, we'll take everybody's input. Mark and I'll continue to meet and we'll meet and we'll get things ready and go ahead.
So I had emailed Rochelle to say, do we bring food? Can we
Well,
bring
that
food?
was gonna be the next topic. That was gonna be the
Because
next
I'll
topic.
pass out in 4 hours.
No, we're gonna lock the doors and not let anybody bring anything. No, so yeah, actually, Councilmember Curtis had brought that up too, and you know, we can do some, you know, light stuff, or, you know, if you guys want to, I don't know what this, you know, what we can do with regards to, you know, city funding things, but you know, if people feel like they want to chip in a little bit, maybe we can, you know, order in or something like that, you know.
So let me interject by saying there's no issue with respect to cost for supplying food for a retreat. We had initially planned to do, we haven't decided on what it is yet, but something less than a meal, something more than a snack, right? So if you want something besides that, let us know and we can accommodate. I know we have some dietary restrictions that we'll work individually with to make sure that we have covered, but that was the original plan. But if we want to switch courses and do a crowdfunding kind of thing, we can certainly do that.
Well, I know that I'll need something closer to a meal at that time of the day for 4 hours. So, go ahead.
Ditto.
I'd personally say that sounds about appropriate unless somebody wants more than that, if you're talking a full meal, but.
Well, I
Right,
mean, like,
and I think
you know,
the
do we
city-
order in pizza or a pasta tray or something, you know, there's those
Yeah.
kind of options too.
I think the city should fund it though.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I'm not
think
talking about bringing in,
Right.
ordering in from Hey J's or anything. Though I think one year somebody tried to do that and we're like, no, we're not doing Hey J's for a council retreat. All right, well, we'll come up with some options then.
All right, so then in that case, that concludes my report, Mayor.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, we're up to workshop discussions. First up is our final network analysis. Amy is online. She's going to introduce our presenters. I think we've got Amy coming on here. There you are.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So the network analysis is exactly what it sounds like. It is an analysis of our current transportation network, its ability to handle our projected growth in the short term and long term, as well as potential mitigation measures. A draft of this document was presented to the Planning Commission in September and to the City Council in October of 2025. After that, we did some additional public engagement and coordinated with some of our partner agencies. Mitch Hadfield with Parametrics prepared the analysis, so he is going to present some background information and summarize the changes that have been made since the previous workshop.
Great. Welcome, Mitch. You are on mute.
Hello.
There you go.
Thanks for having me. And I think I'm sharing my screen. Can everyone see the slides?
Not quite. Not
Okay,
quite
not
yet.
quite. Let me try that one more time. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, working now. Awesome. Yep. So we came on and met with the city council toward the end of last year to go over our network analysis. I understand there's been some new city council people elected, so I'll try to give an overview here. So we'll go over the analysis results and the mitigation measures. We'll look at our short-term 2028 analysis and our long-term 2046 analysis. And we'll also look at some public outreach efforts. And I've highlighted in yellow changes from our previous presentation. And in this presentation, we won't look at like data and assumptions and methodology that we covered last time. We'll just look at kind of the takeaways and the results. So just as a recap, this was our study area. We looked at 23 major intersections across the city. And then just how we analyze intersections in traffic operations, it's based on vehicle delay, so delay per vehicle. And then we translate that to kind of a letter grade between A and F, and letter grades D and better, we generally leave alone, and E and F, we will recommend mitigation measures for. So this is our short-term analysis. You can see the letter grades across the different intersections in the city. Each circle is split in half, and the left side of the circle is how the intersection is operating in the AM peak hour, and the right side of the intersection is how it's operating in the PM peak hour. And for each intersection operating at level of service E or F, we recommended mitigation measures for. Two changes to highlight: Appleway Avenue and the I-90 off ramps. We were pending coordination with WashDOT last time we met, and so we had left that mitigation off. But with coordination with WashDOT, we've identified that either a signal or a roundabout, and that will include further coordination with WashDOT because it's part of their jurisdiction. And then the intersection of Harvard and Wellington Parkway. Previously, we had identified a multi-lane developer-driven roundabout, and the city asked that we also analyze a signal. So we've now included both options. And then when those mitigation measures are applied, level of service improves in 2028. And then our 2046 mitigation analysis, several intersections, level of service E and F. The one change for this one, previously we had listed as a no build, but the intersection of Mission Avenue and Signal Drive, we identified as either a signal or a roundabout, with the caveat that would get analyzed at the city with the development of the library. So kind of when that goes in, looking at that intersection. And then everything else stays the same as previously. And then with mitigation measures in the long term, level of service. And then just kind of everything we just looked at, but more of a table rather than graphics. Sorry, one more thing to highlight. Since last network analysis, we've also included cost estimates for each of the mitigation projects as an appendix to the report to assist the city with planning for funding. So I want to just talk briefly about the public outreach that we did. So we put together an interactive online story map. So the story map essentially takes the information in the network analysis, makes it a little more digestible to the general public, and allows them from the convenience of their home, wherever they're at, to read through and see what mitigation measures are recommended, how the study was conducted. And since last Friday, I think is when I pulled the view numbers, but we've had almost 700 views of the story map since we published it. And those are all the slides I have. And I think we have some time for questions.
Great. So to summarize, you've provided some highlighted changes from the prior. I think I saw the color denoting what was different from previously presented.
Correct. Yep. The yellow highlights are things that have been updated or changed since last go round.
Yeah. Question for Amy related. How well does our capital facilities plan agree with some of the mitigations that are identified in this network analysis plan? I don't have it in front of me, but curious if Amy is still online. Ben, if you
Yes,
want-
I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Ben's probably actually better to answer the question.
Yeah, if you want to try that.
Apologize, guys.
Repeat your question.
We have a capital facilities plan that tries to identify projects and timing. And so curious about the agreement between the network analysis and the projected changes and what we may have as on our capital facilities plan.
So in the adopted 2026 capital facilities plan, these are not included because they came kind of after the bell. But we've all on the 20-year CFP that we're currently working on, they've all been incorporated, and they're not all in the same year. I know they say 2028 and 2046, but that's several $1 million of projects. Just for instance, our roundabouts, roughly $2.4 million, signals about half that. So we've got them in the 20-year CFP kind of in placeholders, kind of spread out over like a 2 or 3 year. So you'll most likely see some of those 2028 projects, or at least in the CFP for this next cycle as we go through the 2027 budget in that 6-year plan. Yes.
Great. Yeah, I just look forward to ensuring that we were planning or envisioning being able to execute on what these required changes are. Thanks.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilmember Severs.
Is the current slide, is that in our packet somewhere? I did not see that.
Can we get a
It's
copy
nice
of that
just
if
to
it's not?
prioritizing the projects.
That might be a question for Amy, but this is definitely in the network analysis report.
Yeah, it's in there, Councilmember Severs. I'm not sure if the highlights are in there, but we can get you one that shows rankings and prioritizations if it's not already in there.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Ball.
So Amy or whoever, I had written down after reading through this. So why is the I-90 westbound an off-ramp in the East Country Vista? Is it because of the high school? Is that the problem? Or, and isn't that going to be close to where the bus station will be? The, what do you call it?
Park and ride.
Park and ride, yeah. Is that what you're anticipating?
So our 2028 analysis essentially took known developments within the city that are projected to be completed by 2028 or in some stage of construction, and took those traffic trips and then distributed them throughout the city. And then with that added traffic, then we analyzed the network. So that traffic's coming from a lot of projected developments throughout the city. I don't think the Appleway station will be completed by 2028. So that was not included in our 2028 analysis.
And that's part of the 10-year plan, right?
Right.
Connect 2035.
Yep.
2035.
Yeah, that's the 10-year strategic plan for SDI.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, doesn't seem do we have any other questions? Sorry, I had to step away for a moment to handle something. All right, Amy, next steps, anything, or Mitch, next steps?
So the next steps will be bringing back a resolution for council to consider and potentially adopt, hopefully.
Perfect. All right, well, we appreciate you being here tonight, Mitch.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. I think next up, Ben's back, pavement master plan.
Slides coming up here. So I sent council this document, I believe Thursday or Friday of last week. So hopefully you spent all weekend reviewing it in detail. It is a rather lengthy document, but and I've most of these slides I'm going to present to you, most of the words taken out of it because I think people like looking at pictures and graphs and things like that over there. Thank you, Shane. So I'll go through kind of the process, what some of our findings. Next slide, please. So a lot of this document came from the City Logic software that we paid for last year. A lot of the data came straight out of that, a lot of budgeting tools that are available through that software that was used to put this together. So what I'm going to do tonight is kind of provide a clear snapshot of pavement conditions. We got that through our LiDAR survey that was completed last summer. Kind of go over the funding, and I know I've shared a few of these strategic analysis funding graphs with a few of you already, but I'm going to show those again. There's been a few updates since that previous version. And then really what we're looking for is council direction for future CFPs. We really want to set a level of service. And I know that that comes with funding, and we've got to kind of figure that process out as well. But at least kind of figuring out what do we want to shoot for them and kind of figure out, the rest. So that's really the purpose of this brief. Next slide, please. All right, so why pavement management matters. The streets are not only one of our city's largest assets, they are our city's largest asset. I would estimate that we probably own an excess of over $100 million in pavement. So I don't think we have, even trailhead's not worth that much. Really what we're looking for in pavement life is typically a 20-year lifespan. That includes with periodic and preventative maintenance. Obviously early investment, like many things, avoids major reconstruction costs. And then condition affects safety, mobility, livability, all those things that Amy's working on to include in the transportation section of the comprehensive master plan. Next slide, please. All right, so I think some of you have seen this map before. This is our condition map for the city. We currently have just a little under 55 miles of public streets. Right now, our average pavement condition index, or PCI, is 77.28. That's considered good. If you can see that scale down there, way down there at the bottom, I can't, but anything above 71 is considered good. Anything above 86 is considered basically excellent. You can see that the newer parts of town, that makes sense that they would be green. The older parts of the residential areas you start to see some yellow and orange and red. You can see Sprague there has got probably the most red. That section right in front of the golf course, I believe the PCI for that red section on the far right in the bottom right-hand corner is 31 out of 100 right now. So it's definitely a priority for us. And you can see that our arterials and our collectors tend to age a little faster because they get more traffic. They're designed with a bit of thicker course of pavement as well as base course, but they just get beat up faster typically, and a lot of them are older as well. So those arterials are older. You can see that top section of Appleway that we did in the top right-hand corner. That's actually 100 PCI. That's the big difference. Next slide, please. All right, so I don't think nobody may have noticed the car that was running around that did the LiDAR survey back in July. They literally finished the entire city in, I think, 6 hours because they can drive at speed to get all that done. So they have ranked every segment of every public street within the city. So they didn't go up on Legacy Ridge, they didn't go inside Trutina, places like that, but they were able to scan every public piece of the city and divided it up into segments. So there's over 500 segments. So a segment, for instance, would be this section of Country Vista between Liberty Lake and Mission. So that little section is a segment. But you also have, so the segments are all different sizes, just based on where the cross streets start. And so you can see here in that table down at the bottom, 68% of our streets are either good or excellent. And so that's the good news. The bad news is 30% of our streets are either fair, and then we've got some very poor sections as well. That very poor, a lot of that is those red sections, Sprague and a couple other places that we found. That future road, just for reference, that is the Toledo Station Cataldo extension. So that was included in the diagram when we built the model. So when that street is built, we'll be able to change the status of it to a actual road, and that'll move over to the Excellence side, because it'll be abandoned road. We just did that with Kramer when it finished this last fall. Let's see, next slide, please. So this is just a quick breakdown of the pavement condition by type. So our major arterials and minor arterials, those are barely at the edge of good. Those are moving into the fair category, or they will in the next couple of years. And you can see the repair costs. If we were to repair everything today, and we just said, hey, we've got all this money and we need to get everybody to where it needed to be, we would need to spend roughly $20 million. So that's our backlog today. And so you can see the breakdown in the pie charts down there in the bottom. We have predominantly local streets or residential streets. They make up over 50% of our overall total, but they only account for about a quarter of the backlog, because our arterials are not as in good a condition, because a lot of our new streets within the city are new developments, things like, the stuff that Greenstone's doing and things like that. So that kind of makes sense. But eventually that 80 is going to degrade where we're going to have to really look at. There are already some residential streets or local streets that are in not great condition on the older parts of the city and kind of the Meadowwood area and places like that. But we will need to capture that over the lifespan, over the 20-year lifespan we're really looking at when it comes to a longer term CFP. Next slide, please. All right, so this kind of goes through the pavement life cycle and strategy. And a lot of these are figures that we plugged in using the help from the CityLogix software team. So every pavement has a life cycle deterioration curve, and that's the diagram up at the top. So it goes from 1 to 0, and this is a 35-year lifespan. So over a 20-year lifespan, your pavement still technically has some life, but I wouldn't particularly like to drive on a road that has a PCI under 30. I mean, if you've gone down Sprague, you've done it. So we look at really that 20-year lifespan when it comes to major improvements, or like a mill and overlay or a total reconstruction. And obviously the more preventative maintenance you can do, you save money in the long term when you don't have to spend a good amount, because you can extend that life doing periodic preventative maintenance. And so, and if you don't do that, then your cost multiplies significantly. And so we've plugged in that chart in the middle is our recommended treatment selection matrix. So basically, if a PCI, for instance, is between 0 and 45, like that section of Sprague, that would require a reconstruction. So that's a reconstruction is a little bit more than a mill and overlay. So we take it all the way down to the base course, we recompact that. Luke gets really excited when we do stuff like that, because he loves compaction. And but that does cost significantly more than a mill and overlay. So we spend quite a bit more for a reconstruction per square yard than we would for a mill and overlay. So we typically don't want our streets to get to the point where we need to completely reconstruct them. In some cases, we just have to, but that's preferably not an option we prefer. And there's lots of other options that we can do that the city has invested in over the last couple of years, that we can crack seal now in-house. We were able to crack seal the Pavilion Park parking lot this last summer, and we're going to have that resealed and restriped before the Founders and Fireworks this summer. So that's something that we can now do in-house completely, and we're going to start tackling that more in the other streets within the city this year. I know the city's looked at other seal coats. Chip seal is a little bit of a dirty word I've heard around here, so we would do that sparingly. We don't necessarily recommend chip seal, especially in residential streets. But there are other options for sealing that aren't quite as rough that we can look at as well. Those are measures that are a lot more cost effective if we can continue to do that over the long run, maintain that pavement life. Next slide, please. So a lot of the document that I provided you at the end is a long appendice list of every segment with repair priorities by segment within the city. I tried to summarize it a little bit here for you. It really is broken down in that pie chart where you look at pavement condition index, street classification, and that's arterials, collectors, local streets. So a major arterial would get a higher score than a residential street. Greater good, gets a little bit higher score. better use. And then length is just a length of section. So that's kind of the lower priority. But you can see if we were to, and there's other factors as well that we're looking at with the CFP working group, where the streets are they in front of a school? We also need to coordinate when they happen with our utility partners at the Water District as well as Avista. So we like to partner with them. We've actually got a meeting coming up with Avista where we're going to go over our project list so that a lot of that coordination can happen. So we're not putting in a brand new street and then cutting through it. And our pavement cut policy actually prohibits cutting into new pavement by 5 years. 3 years. So if we wouldn't allow anybody to cut through Appleway for another 2 years because we won't be cutting up brand new pavement. So you can see that chart at the bottom. That's really the highest scoring sections using that criteria. And it makes sense that most of them are major or minor arterials. And in most cases, they're not in great shape. You can see the project that we've got scheduled for Mission Avenue as soon as the asphalt plant's open. That's a pretty low scoring segment. It's all orange, yellow. So then Moulter is another one that we get a lot of complaints about. So that's really one that Luke's been working on. You saw a lot of Moulter projects in the CFP this year. So he's working on those as well. And then you've got some longer term projects, Harvard, eventually we're going to have to replace Liberty Lake Road. It's fairly new, so it's probably out there several years. But it shows up as high priority because it's a major arterial or a minor arterial within the city. And there are little places in there that kind of gremlins that show up in the data. Yes, Mayor.
I'm confused. You said something about replacing Liberty Lake Road.
Someday.
We just did that.
Yeah.
It's green on here.
It is.
Okay.
And so, but its repair priority is still fairly high because it's an arterial.
Okay.
So that part of the ranking, you'll see so eventually we will have to replace that. That's probably a good 10 to 15 years, years away. So it shows up in the repair priority scoring. But that wouldn't be one we'd capture anytime soon.
Okay, great.
But any other questions on this one?
Well, it's just kind of a general question. So, I'd written down, okay, so reading through, I did read this whole thing, pavement preservation policy. You said in this, or whoever did the report, to fix the good roads first, the ones that didn't need as much work, and that contradicts not letting roads deteriorate due to deferred maintenance.
Right. And so we're kind of stuck in the spot we're at where we've got roads that we absolutely, so that's a great policy moving forward, but we got to really clean up some of the gunk first.
Right.
Moving forward, that would be the policy.
Okay, so that brings me to Sprague, because it really is a nightmare, and I know, money, it's a big one, that's a problem. So, I mean, what do you think are the odds that, I think you said Chase could maybe get us some money?
We'll find out within the next 30 to 45 days.
Weeks for sure.
I mean, if that happened, could we jump on Sprague maybe sooner than later?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
So right now it's scheduled for 2930 in the CFP. And a lot of that's based on trying to spread projects out over that 6-year period because we only have so many funds. And everybody wants to do Country Vista as well.
Right. All right. What's this one little segment that's red too? Just off, is it Homestead? The first, is that Homestead?
South of Mission, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, any of the reds, if we could jump on them before they're.
Yep, and it's hard. You've got little sections of red and then you've got green and yellow. So some of those red spots we may look at doing similar to what we did on Boone last year, where we hire a pavement contractor to come do that section and take care of those larger patch problems. Yeah. So that's what we would look to do in those little red areas where we could do a patch like the size of this room, which is what we did on Boone. And we did that for $20,000, I believe was the cost for that one, maybe a little less.
Okay.
But that's what this has really given us, is that ability that we haven't had before, is to prioritize those projects, because we've got the CFP projects, but we've also got Stefan's workforce that has in-house capability, plus he can contract out. So we want to be able to hit all those things. So you're going to see Stefan's crew do quite a bit of crack sealing this summer. Now that we've got it's kind of put the priorities together, and he's got all the equipment and the folks that he needs.
So I just voiced Ben that, the city had a bad experience with crack seal applied residential. East Valley Way west of Moulter. Residences and tar and chips just don't go well.
No, I've heard the stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to really hold the line that we really strongly do overlay in residential for repair.
And we're looking at other options as well. There's a company that called Pressure Pave that does it's kind of a mix of a crack seal overlay, very thinner overlay. We're looking at other options too as well that may work into that matrix at some point and work in our part of the world.
Any other questions?
All right,
I don't see any next.
Yeah. What? Was not one. All right, so this is a quick strategic funding analysis that I did using the software, and I will tell you that the numbers changed at the bottom a little bit based on the document I gave you because I found an error in my formula when I was building these slides. So the remaining funding required by PCI is considerably less than what's shown in the document I forwarded, and I've already made that change in the document, but I just want to point that out. So what I did, Mark asked me to take a look at this really for the new council member orientation. And so what I looked at was a couple of factors. I used an estimated capital funding. What we currently have is REIT 2. From 2026, we collected, I think it's 650, or we expect to collect $615,000 from that REIT tax. And then typically we get around $1 million in grants. That was just an estimating data point that I used for this particular exercise. It varies. I think this year we've got actually 2 million, but that's not every year. So we just used 1 million to start, just to have a kind of a starting point. I looked at several different PCIs and how much they would cost using the software. And you could obviously higher PCI is more expensive to maintain. There are a couple of things I need to look at. You can see that the cost to maintain a lower PCI in residential local streets is higher than a 60 is higher than a 70, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that might have been just how the computer kind of picked projects for that particular scenario. So we're going to look at that one again, because that didn't make a ton of sense to me. There's similar prices, but for some reason it didn't. But you can kind of see based on those PCIs by functional class, you've got, a 15-year cost. So we divided that by 15 to kind of put together an annual funding requirement. For instance, if we were to maintain a PCI of 70, that comes out to roughly $2.9 million a year. We currently, our 2026 budget included $1.29 million in operating costs. Now that includes more than just pavement management. That's snow removal. That's a lot of other things that we use that streets fund for, which brings our total to $4.2 million. I plugged in Kyle's numbers for total revenue from sales and gas tax, put in the REIT tax as well as the grants, and that leaves a shortfall for a PCI of 70 of roughly $1.43 million. So that's what we're not spending every year to maintain that 70. So what that tells us, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to be in some pretty major trouble in 10 to 15 years. Any questions on this one? I know that's a lot of numbers. So
more just a comment of how grateful I am for this. This is great work to help us in forecasting and finances and a lot of stuff I'm really excited to talk about. So thank you.
And then the next slide really tells you how bad it gets.
Okay, so total funding required 4.2 million. Okay, then the taxes and so forth. Did you say a different? Oh, that changed, right?
It did, yeah. So I think it said it was like, I found a little extra minus in my formula, which messed up the total number at the bottom. So the slide is correct.
So
the document I sent you is off
So
by.
the 1.42-ish.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So if we were to maintain the status quo using the $600,000 of REIT and the $1 million grant, I ran another scenario through there. Our PCI over that 15-year period would go from 77, which is our overall now, to 57. I can't recall a road that's a 57 right now, but Yeah, it's not one that we'd probably want to consider driving on. And then our maintenance backlog that was $20 million turns into $64 million. So it's all those projects that we couldn't do. So that means all that preventative maintenance that was, pushing out, having to completely mill and overlay, now turns into reconstruction, which gets quite a bit more expensive, about 3 times more expensive to reconstruct than it is to mill and overlay. And I also went through there at the bottom and kind of, okay, 1.6 gets us this. What if we were to up that to 2, 3, 4, $5 million a year? And obviously the more money we spend, the higher PCI we get. That 71 basically represents $3 million a year, which matches kind of what you saw on the other slide at 70. So we've kind of got to figure out where we want to be. And then there's the funding question. But if we don't do anything new, we're going to be at a 57 in 2041. And we're going to have a lot more 31s than we do now.
Will be Spokane.
Possibly.
So just as to reemphasize Ben's point, if you can envision yourself driving on Country Vista past the fire station, that's a 55. So essentially what Ben is saying is over that course of time, the entire city becomes that stretch of Country Vista in front of the fire station, which is a 55.
Okay. Councilmember Dunn or Mayor Pro Tem.
Familiar question, Ben. Do you believe that the capital facilities plan in its current structure reflects what is necessary to do this right?
So the 20-year CFP that I put together does. And I've tried to take all, and I've taken the same scenario there and plugged it into the 20-year CFP and kind of massaged projects a little bit so that we stay within that $2.9-3 million total. But yeah, it's doable. I mean, the 6-year CFP doesn't right now.
Every time that would come before us, I would ask you to be vigilant and to bring to our attention where you think there are exceptions or it's not addressing what you've reviewed here tonight.
Sure, absolutely. All right, next slide, please. I'm almost done. I think this is the last one. This is the last one. And so what we need to do next steps is really confirm our target pavement condition levels. And this may be something that you want to table until the retreat, have a more kind of a larger discussion on that. These were the ones that we kind of, okay, if we wanted to maintain that 70 PCI, I would recommend that we shoot for a little higher in our major and minor arterials. So we've kind of shown that. Collectors are right around that, they're at a 75 now. A lot of that's Moulter, a lot of that's, the Country Vista, our section of Country Vista here, where it kind of jets through the Meadowood area. That definitely needs some work. But we've got some other collectors that are in pretty good shape. So local is really probably one of the bigger discussions we need to have. Right now it's at 80 because a lot of those are new. If we were to mill and overlay, at some point, we're going to have to mill and overlay over the 20-year period, most of our local streets. Boone is one that's in rough shape. Some of the older ones in the Meadowood area really are where most of those projects lie, just because it's an older part of town. I mean, it predates when the town was built. I know there was Mayor Peterson had done some projects in that area. And you can see back at the map, there is some green areas within kind of down by the golf course area in the Gary area. Those are in a little bit better shape. And they've had a couple of projects since the city was adopted. But a lot of those residential areas have not been touched. And they, like we said, they're definitely past their 20-year lifespan. And you see a lot of that when we go through the sidewalk master plan, you see a lot of the same red in the same parts of town. It's pretty easy to see what was your first and what hasn't had that, that preventative maintenance over the years. So we've got to talk about that. And then obviously we've had a couple of discussions here about funding approach and phasing. And so that's really going to drive that 20-year CFP that we're working on and future budgets. And so once we've got all that figured out, my intent is to take all those revisions and then put this up for adoption via action item at a future council meeting for vote.
A little overwhelming.
It is. We got to start somewhere.
All right, thanks, you guys. Do we have any closing questions for Ben before we move on to the next topic? All right.
And if you have any from the document or any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'll answer to the group. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, next up, we have the Police Department Evidence Custodial Fund. What? Oh, I didn't know if it was you or Mark.
Thank you, Mayor.
Starting with this one.
Yeah, very briefly, I just wanted to give council the option to potentially ask any questions of us. Ordinance 316, first read tonight, identifies the establishment of the Police Department Evidence Custodial Fund. And essentially what this accomplishes is achieving best practice as identified by WASPIC, Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chief. During that accreditation process that Lieutenant Isaac and DC Morgan and Chief Simmons identified kind of towards the end of last year, identifies all these policy improvements to reflect best practices within the police department. And this is one of them. And so they currently handle all of that evidence in-house, including asset and cash forfeitures. And they have an existing policy that deals with the proper determination of final disposition with those. But when they do encounter and seize cash throughout the course of their business, the best practice is to enter that into evidence and then account for it separately through what we've essentially presented you here. And so it's a custodial fund. There's a process for us to enter this into our accounting system and let it set with the city's finances until final disposition has been made by them. So we're not changing anything within there, and you can see in the packet PD policy 601. We're not changing anything within there. We're just updating our procedures to identify best practices as determined by WASPIC. And so here to field any questions regarding that process, because obviously this is new and kind of bolstering our current cash handling procedure at the police department.
Wow. Okay, I think we had Councilmember Ball, then Darrow, then Dunn.
So where's the cash coming from? Is this like cash they've seized from?
Could be any number. So a common occurrence could be a drug bust, and then they're seizing cash involved in that. It could be any sort of detainments for any number of reasons. I mean, DC could probably give you a pretty exhaustive list, but it's just over the course of their policing services and affecting arrests and things like that. So,
And with this inventory or whatever you want to call it, include like cars that they've seized?
All sorts of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, I think they currently, I mean, so their evidence facility documents and tracks all of that currently. And so there isn't any contemplation of changing anything except for cash handling. So, yeah.
And I think it's pretty answered, but I just want to be clear. Does cash cover only cash? Is there anything else that cash represents? Just the cash money dollars?
Yes. So it's cash. It goes a little bit further because cash can potentially be in different states of disarray and things like that. And so there's policies for cleaning it up, for lack of a better term. And so that goes through a separate process, but then in its final state where it can actually be deposited.
And
it'll go through that process at the evidence facility.
Is anything else like cards or anything in that?
So no, those are all and I'll let DC kind of speak more to that, but yeah, anything like cards and other financial documents that isn't cash will just be held in the evidence facility. So
thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that disarray. Took a second to click. Mayor Pro Tem.
In the absence of a fund, the stuff, cash just gets bagged and tagged and kept in lockup.
Yes, and so what happens is then they are they tag it, they store it, and then once it's been adjudicated, they disperse from it. So and that works for a lot of PDs, and there isn't anything to say that wouldn't have worked indefinitely for the PD, but we're identifying best practices here, and so that's the reason we're going this route.
Makes sense.
Yeah, great. Anybody else?
Well, I have another one.
Make sure nobody else. Okay, go ahead.
So the cars and whatever else, are they auctioned then or?
Potentially, yeah. So the city seized one and used one for a little while. And so
Oh.
I think like 15 years ago, so.
And, okay, so then it's auctioned and money is received. Where does that go?
That goes towards criminal justice purposes. And so that would go back to the PD.
Okay,
So via the general fund or the police capital fund.
Huh.
And so whatever that final disposition is, I believe the RCW specifically states criminal justice purposes.
okay. And so back to the disarray, you mean like it was laundered or, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, so you can't always take cash that's been seized in the field and deposit it directly into a bank account for any number of reasons. So.
okay,
And maybe.
I'd make a lousy criminal.
So, the bank's policies actually say you can, put it in the washing machine. It's mostly cotton. But as legal tender, there's certain thresholds you can or cannot exchange.
Yeah.
So have to work that.
You never know what it's
Um,
tainted with.
I'd voice, Darren could probably tell more about 15 years ago, I think, there was a countywide bust on massage parlors and prostitution. And our high bay facility adjacent was a center for the entire operation. And so what is, our usual place, we park cars inside, all of a sudden was cash machines and tables and anything and everything, big TVs as part of a lockup. So, and takes a long time to get rid of that stuff.
It does.
It has to be held until all charges are resolved. So, yeah, Chief Brian at the time had quite a collection for a long time.
He's gone. All right, no other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I want to move general business consent agenda items A through C, and then also items E through K.
We did A through C and D got moved.
D, I think.
Yeah.
City Park camera upgrade was moved.
Right, so we're approving consent agendas E through K.
Correct.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Motion seconded. Any,
And A through C too, right?
we already did.
Well, those.
Oh, I got the wrong things off.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, you need to push back and say you were wrong, Chris. I crossed A, B, and C off in the wrong thing, so yes. So we're back to A through K minus D.
Yeah.
All right,
Another way to put it.
thank you. All right, those in favor of approving? Yeah, there's second by Councilmember Severs. All right, those in favor of approving consent agenda items A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right,
Madam Mayor, I move general business action item, I think it's 11D, donation of the Rainbow Project Bridge.
all right.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We had some further discussion on this at the last meeting. I know Jen's here online if there are any further questions after we had our meeting last time. Councilmember Severs.
Sorry, I'm trying to get down to my notes. Jen, my main question, I appreciate all the cleanup and it looks like we're getting closer to an actual project. There's a picture of a bridge. Is that exactly what this bridge would look like?
It's a concept. The goal is to look similar to that. Yes.
Is that something that would come back before council to approve?
Not typically. Not typically. The donation would be the item of approval.
Okay, you want me to just keep going on questions or?
Sure,
do you
go
wanna try
ahead.
to Go around. I apologize. There's a lot of pages. I'm trying to scroll down to it. The stones available for donation, who would install those? Like, there's a question on, I've got a question on, they can be purchased at Popular Companions. Must they be purchased at Popular Companions? And then what?
No. So we determined that they will be encouraged to purchase them there through signage or whatever the case may be, but we will not refuse other people bringing their tags and putting them on the fencing.
And tags and stones, it looks like there's an option for stones with something carved into it.
We haven't talked about stones, just tags at this point.
What page are you on, Councilmember
There's
Severs?
stones on the mock-up.
Well, and it's written in there too. So apologies, I'm still trying to get down to it. Technology is great sometimes. Wait for it.
Page
Wait for it.
252.
Thank you.
Just keep going.
It crashed on me the first time I tried to scroll too fast, so. Okay. So I guess my concern, Jen, is for stones. I'm picturing these like concrete flagstones essentially that it is listed in the project. And I would be concerned if a citizen is going and installing something like this that then becomes a tripping hazard or is not installed correctly.
No, so if they were to do stones in the event that they did, the city would install them. It wouldn't be, those would not be something that we would have citizens installing.
Perfect. So I guess maybe we can just get a little bit of procedure clarification on my dog
Sure.
guys. I want a stone in place. How does this work? Or just kind of, it'd be nice to have something sort of in writing on how this works. And then I guess one last piece of encouragement would be, there's a question on here about would the city help maintain the grounds? I would think this is becoming a permanent city fixture. I would hope the city would absolutely maintain.
Correct. It becomes the property of the city, so the city will be responsible for maintaining it.
Perfect.
Are you still trying to find where that is?
I got it.
Okay.
Summer, help me out. It is on page 231 of 256.
I knew it was in 2.
Oh, yeah, I see that on the stones. We haven't discussed the stones whatsoever. That hasn't been discussed at all. So that's definitely a topic I can bring up with them.
Thank you.
And
interesting, good catch.
Just quickly on that,
Yes.
for me, it looked like it was in the picture. There were small stones like rocks, almost like river rocks. So I assume that's what the stones were, maybe with names etched in them. I was unclear about that. I thought that they were sort of colorful stones underneath the bridge. Yeah, like the pebbles, sort of river rocks. And then just, I wish I could just say, yes, this is the best thing that's ever happened to Rocky Hill. And I'm a big fan of this project. So I just want to be very clear. I'm in support of this project. I just have questions based on what was presented in the packet. There's also a sign that says the name of the business, sort of large in it. And I was wondering if we have anything else like that in the city, other than a small, generously donated by, or some little plaque or something. Again, and it could just be the nature of the mock-up. But to me, there was a rather large sign. So I wasn't sure if that was the intention, or just, again, we're just kind of mocking things up for ideas.
Just mocking things up for ideas at this point. And yes, we do have other signs that are similar to that, where the sponsor or the donor has a nameplate that says courtesy of, sponsored by, donated by.
Great. I was just hoping for a donated by or a generous, but something indicating that, just based on the mock-up. But that's great. I love this project. Thank you.
Yeah.
And obviously there are things that come, there are things, supplemental materials with the donation. But the action really is just to approve the donation. And then the details. I know there's, questions out there, but typically details like that are ironed out after the donation.
Great.
Did I misspeak that, Jen, or is that pretty much?
No, you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Councilmember Severs?
I guess I would just ask, I understand what you're saying, but this is a very unique donation. So I think much like an art installation project, we want to know what we're getting before we're going to go and install it. So I guess I would just ask that details come back to council for approval when we know what the answers to these are. I'm great. Personally, I'm great approving the project. I love the project. I think it's in all great faith. I'm just concerned about some of the policies, procedures, and the actual design.
So could we take that as a separate action like we do with, because we do have artist agreements, we have installation agreements, which come after, we approve a concept, but then the details are later. Is that something we could do as a separate action, Sean? Just a final, we agree with how this is happening. Jen, do you think they would be amenable to that?
I mean, yes, I don't know what that would look like because there isn't an agreement here, like with an artist agreement. So, I mean, I know that there would be no issue coming back once there's a more solid concept. We've never asked council to approve a donation before like that, you know, a concept once it's more set in stone. I don't know, Sean, what your recommendation might be, but
Right
it's a
now, we're
unique
just,
situation, I think.
right now, we're just approving the donation through the donation form, correct?
Yes.
So the donation form makes clear that the city receives the money and has control over the money and how it will be utilized. So from that standpoint, once the donation is made, the city has the discretion and what's to be done. So to the extent that there wants to be some separate agreement for other activities or other circumstances, certainly that can be done.
Point of clarification, my understanding is we're not actually receiving any money. We're
No.
receiving a donation
for
value.
a project.
1,000. So I guess that's where I'm struggling, is not knowing what we're accepting.
Certainly, I mean, I think the premise is still the same. Whatever you're receiving, right? Once the city receives it, they have control of it and discretion on how that works. Because in this case, it's just a donation, right? There's not something else that says we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it that way under the terms of an agreement. To the extent that you want to have a separate agreement that's more specific on what exactly is going to be done, certainly that can occur.
So if I can offer, hopefully maybe to clarify this, if the city was expending these funds to fund this project, it would rise above the threshold that would require council approval. So I think the best resolution, Jen, is that once we have a project plan, the project plan with specific details needs to come back to council for approval.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
That sounds very reasonable to me.
Okay.
No,
All right.
I'm saying this in, I just want to state it, is also a big fan of the project. I'm saying this almost as much to cause no hardship on Popular Companions. Also, I'd hate for them to think we're gonna have a great big sign that says Popular Companions, and we come back and say, no, you're gonna get a little.
We also
sign.
have a sign code that
We
governs
do.
some of that.
There's a gift policy that states some things. I just want to make sure everybody's in agreement on these, so that they're not disappointed either.
We also do have guidance in our ordinance 168A that guides us regarding sponsorships and naming signage.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no other questions or concerns. Those in favor of approving the donation for the Rainbow Bridge project, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I move general action 11E, donation to the 4th of July from ICCU.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Severs. Any questions on the donation from ICCU stepping up to the plate once again?
Grateful for the contributions
Yep.
from local businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions? All right, not hearing any. Those in favor of approving the donation for the 4th of July from ICCU, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes 7-0.
Madam Mayor, I move action item 11F, purchase of police officer tactical helmets.
Second.
Got a good cadence going here. We have a second from Councilmember Severs. Any questions on this item? I know Deputy Chief's here and Chief Simmons is online if you have any questions.
It is a budgeted expense.
Yep. All right, not hearing any other questions. All those in favor of approving the purchase of police officer tactical helmets, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And now we are up to,
Council comments.
yep, no, we have City Park security camera update. We'll go ahead and move it, and then we can get into the questions.
Madam Mayor, I move City Park security camera upgrade not to exceed 85,000.
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Kurt. All right, Councilmember Ball, you had asked to have this moved. So, are there any questions?
Right. Well, I'm not comfortable with this company, and I did a little sleuthing here on this Verkada. The FTC takes action against security camera firm Verkada over charges it failed to secure videos, other personal data, and violated CAN-SPAM Act. Anyway, they had to pay $2.95 million in a fine, and let's see what else. and they have money penalty to settle allegations the company inundated prospective customers with commercial emails in violation of the CAN-SPAM Act, the largest penalty obtained by the FTC for the CAN-SPAM violation. A complaint filed by the Department of Justice upon notification and referral from the FTC alleged that Verkada failed to use appropriate information security practices to protect consumers' personal information, which allowed a hacker, then so on, and the breach. But one of those letters of recommendation that the chief had sent us did mention high pressure sales tactics by people that work for Verkada. And that makes me very uncomfortable. And they're only a four-year-old firm with, so they don't have a real good track record, in my opinion, for only 4 years in business. Now, I know, Mark, you said in one of your emails that, Microsoft has had however many breaches, but this is a way smaller company. And so I just wanted to read this to you, and that came from the FTC. And sometimes, I just have to trust my intuition, and I am not comfortable with this company. I just don't feel good about them. So I cannot support hiring this company and paying them $85,000 or thereabouts for cameras. So I feel pretty passionate about this.
I don't know if Deputy Chief or Chief Simmons want to comment.
No, Councilmember Klingler has.
Well, hold on. I wanted to see if they want to address what you said before I move on to anything else.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the council, Madam Mayor, citizens of Liberty Lake. Thank you for your investigation, Councilmember Ball. This was really a program or a project that took a lot of investigating and talking to numerous entities and people. But I would have to disagree. I think, just anecdotally speaking, the list of Washington customers alone is a testament to the power that this company brings as far as security and safety and security to not only city governments like our own, but school districts. There were almost 100 Washington school districts on that list. There were several universities. There were several city and county libraries on that list. And I took the time to reach out to numerous of those and received a response from several, which I emailed to members of the council, but also had a Zoom meeting with a security director from Snow Owl Library System. And he had nothing but good things to say about the system. It's been a tremendous asset. As a matter of fact, they've employed more than just the camera system there. There are numerous other tools that Verkada offers that has been instrumental in making sure that their libraries across the county are safe. And so I haven't heard anything negative. One of the things that I didn't mention, just because they weren't available for comment, but I will mention now, is that Executech was also very instrumental in putting us in touch with Verkada and recommending Verkada as a company. And so I've heard nothing but good things. As far as their sales tactics, I personally experienced no pushiness. They took the time to fly out from California to Liberty Lake numerous times at no cost to us to walk through our parks, to try to figure out what the best options are for us. And out of all of the entities that I listed in that proposal, they were probably the most helpful and knowledgeable as far as what we need to do to place camera systems in our parks to keep our citizens safe. So I can't vouch for someone who, I don't know. I don't know what happened with that customer, but it's just like looking on Amazon. You can read 1,000 reviews on Amazon, and you're going to have numerous different levels of satisfaction. So I don't want to base our public safety on someone's opinion as far as whether or not a salesperson is pushy. I think that's not a good a good thing to do. And so, but I'll just want to thank you for your time right now. And I don't know if Shane is available, but I believe he possibly had some input as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Shane, did you want to add any input? Okay, hold on, he's coming up. And then I'll get back to any other questions.
Sure. Can volume good?
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely do understand your concerns. And in fact, the biggest objection I would have to Verkada is that they didn't answer in a more forthright fashion about there having been any sort of issue in the past. But that being said, I'm actually extremely comfortable moving forward with them for a variety of reasons, despite that little black mark, I think one could say, in their sales tactics. The track record is great. The company has grown substantially in the past 4 years and is now a publicly traded company with I believe, a valuation exceeding 3.5 billion. They're a market leader. And in a previous role, I worked with Hikvision, which was a set of similar camera systems that were on-prem. And then we moved to Verkada. And I left before we completed that move, but I did reach out to some of my former colleagues who were delighted with the change. And I can speak personally to the extent of the complications in managing the technology with the on-prem system we had previously, the Hikvision system, and those being much easier to deal with, essentially, with Verkada. So Verkada, I would say, successfully transfers the opportunity of using a security system, not just cameras now. They have expanded into, as Chief Simmons mentioned, into other products as well, but in that general lineup, really gives you the opportunity to control it and study it and use it, deploy it from a governance and policy perspective. And I would say be less concerned about the technology behind that policy and governance. So I feel extremely comfortable with the choice myself.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Who was next? I saw Councilmember Klingler.
Me? Yeah, so I did some looking into it as well. They've had just that one incident of any substantial size in 2021. One person's pushy salesman is another person's passionate, and being in kind of pseudo in that area, I like somebody to really be passionate and try to sell their product. And then it's up to you as the purchaser to do your due diligence and make sure that it fits for what you're trying to accomplish. Further looking into them, they followed up with a really good mitigation plan. They were very comprehensive. They got their SOC 2 certification and high tech, and really applied themselves to meet all the mitigation requirements after the inquiry and everything. They're also poised to merge with another larger tech company, which means they will have even more resources and be able to protect against those kinds of things. And I think the chief's point is well taken, that Microsoft is under constant attack. I work in the healthcare space, and hospitals oftentimes get hacked, and they have their systems held for ransom, and they can't process claims and all these things. It's kind of the world we live in right now. And the best you can do is to have diligence on your security systems, make sure you're certified in security like SOC and high tech, and then really be vigilant about them. And everything that I could find out about the company, along with the chief's due diligence, for me, makes me feel very, very confident in their ability and their competence to provide this kind of security for the city.
Thank you. Councilmember Darrow, then Mayor Pro Tem.
Chief, if you're still with us, I just wanted to say thank you for forwarding those letters to us. They were very informative, and I think they came off as very honest and very, very, very helpful. So I really appreciate that extra effort. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
What is the service life of the cameras that are getting put up here? About how long will it last? Couldn't quite see that in the contract.
I know they said there was a lifetime warranty.
What is a lifetime?
I don't.
Thank you, Councilmember Dunn, for that question. So when we had our Zoom meeting with the security director from Snow Isle Libraries, I think they got theirs put up, I mean, right when the company got started, and he says they haven't replaced any of those cameras. They haven't even had to clean any of the housing. So the plastic housing that goes over those. There's still most of their cameras are still the original cameras that have gone up, and they haven't replaced any. So I'm not exactly sure what the lifespan is on those. But I can tell you based on that conversation with him, those cameras have lasted them throughout. And also, if I'm not mistaken, if there's anything that happens to those cameras, they come replace those without cost. So that's another positive.
It's similar to Flock, where they pretty much own the hardware.
So the Verkada produces the hardware, the Holmes, it looks like, is the installer. Those guys are responsible for the placements. Right, Holmes Electric. I'm just reading
That
the
is
contract.
correct. And that was based on a government contract. And we checked all of that, and that was all verified.
For the magnitude of investment, I don't have a problem with this one. I think that the due diligence was there definitely on the part of the chief and the review, and I feel comfortable with the hardware. I think I see the general notes say the proposal was valid till the 31st of January, so just make sure that it's still valid.
They did mention that they would extend that in our talk.
Councilmember Kurtz?
Chief, I had one more question for you. I'm on page 162 of the slides, but it talks about total cost of ownership. And I just wanted to make sure I'm understanding this right, because it talks about no ongoing maintenance, no ongoing software, unlimited users, tech support, all. So I just want to make sure that at 85K, we are all in and there's no other expenses that we expect.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, not seeing any. Those in favor of approving the purchase of security cameras for the city parks in the amount not to exceed $85,000, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes 6-1. Okay, next up, we have council comments. So this is before our workshop, so is there any additional council comments? Not seeing any, all right. Yes, go ahead.
Go Seahawks.
All right, next up, public hearings and appeals. We have none. We don't have any resolutions. We do have a first read of ordinance 316 with regards to the custodial fund. So I'll have Rochelle read that, and then at the next meeting, we'll have the second read and a vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 316, an ordinance of the City of Liberty Lake, Washington, establishing the Liberty Lake Police Department Evidence Custodial Fund and providing for other matters properly related thereto.
Thank you. All right, we have no emergency ordinances. Introduction of upcoming agenda items. All right, so for the next meeting, we have the Transportation Resiliency Plan with Amy. We have moved the new city logo discussion up to the next meeting. And I've got staff working on some figures and stuff, because I know the question came up when I tried to introduce this several years ago about how much is it going to cost to replace X, Y, and Z. But we already replaced some percentage of X, Y, and Z every year anyway, so we're going to try, we'll get some of those numbers. But since the city's birthday is coming up in July, which is going to be here before we know it, I wanted to get this moved up on the agenda. And then for March, we've got the public safety sales tax follow-up discussion. And then we have a bunch more of our TBDs. Some are waiting on other people, so they don't have dates yet. Is there anything on here that we think we could? Oh, so Mayor Pro Tem, you had mentioned council committees. I just wanted to clarify before we put a date on that. So were you looking at, because I know we talked about this a little bit last year too, about reinstating things like our finance committee, community
development, and public safety.
Okay. So maybe we look at maybe doing that March 3rd.
I'd be good to advance that.
Okay. We'll make sure we'll have the directors meeting tomorrow. We'll make sure there's no conflicts with that, anything else popping up, but we'll tentatively look at that for March.
I reached out to Rochelle just to see if we could recover the prior ordinance, just to review its detail.
Sure. Okay. Sign code, I'm always waiting for different things. Youth Commission, let me, possibly the second meeting in March. I will follow up on that, because we had put that off, waiting for school to get going, and here we are already in the second semester, so. I think that will kind of cover us for the next couple meetings. I know we still have people with kiddos in school, and it's only February, but let's take a look at the calendar for, I don't know if we have a meeting spring break week or not, we'll have to take a look at that. Councilmember Kurtz.
Spring break, yes, we do.
We do.
And we've either canceled or moved,
Yes.
and that was gonna be my ask, is
Okay.
that so we can start planning ahead
Yeah.
and whatnot.
What meeting date is that?
It's the first one.
First of April?
Of April.
Yeah.
It's first few
Okay,
days.
so
I
that
think,
would be
isn't
the
it?
date, the date is
7th.
April 7th. Okay, so if everybody wants to, let's, let me pull my calendar up here real quick. Or not so quick.
Maybe move to Tuesday, the 14th.
Yeah, would either that or move it back to the 31st. Would anybody have any objections to doing it on the 14th? So we'd actually have two council meetings in a row, one on the 14th, one on the 21st in April. Far enough in advance, hopefully that works. Is that different from your spring break
It's fine.
calendar?
Easter's fine. We're good.
You're good. Okay. All right. So let's, I think we need to vote on that. So, I guess I need a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that the ordinarily scheduled 7th of April meeting be moved to the 14th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Councilmember Darrow. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks for doing that. Next.
I have two more.
Yeah.
One, the youth commission, I circled that one too.
Yeah.
Because I think if we could if we're going to continue with having youth engaged before they leave for the year would be good. So
Yes.
that they're ready to go in the fall or can participate in the summer.
Yep.
And then the other one that had my name on it was the shared response to homelessness MOU. We talked about doing that in 6 months, but I think a report that was associated with the group actually came out already. And I feel like that was one of the things that we were waiting for.
So, and I'll have to verify that, at last, update, the group is still waiting to get, movement from a couple of the city governments in our region. And so I'm not sure what the forecast for that timing looks like, but I'll get a clarification of that and the report back at our next meeting.
Perfect. All right, any other additions, changes? All right, go ahead, Councilmember Ball.
So what was it that you had for the third? We're moving the public safety sales tax or not?
Discussion. This is the one where we need the council to decide if we're gonna put it on the ballot so we can maybe beat the county or else we lose a lot of money.
Right, but there was something else you wanted to add to that evening.
To the third?
Yes.
The council committees.
Oh, committees. Okay, and then on the micro mobility, I thought that was going to be a town hall. There was some discussion about that being a town hall because. Yeah.
We had talked about that, but we are waiting until the legislative session is over because there are things happening there before we try to schedule it.
So it's not going to be in April.
We'll see what happens with what comes out of legislative session.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Kurtz.
Can we have a time to talk about town halls and getting something like that? Or get an update from Mark about what your plan is for scheduling town halls, because I think that's one of the engagement strategies that worked well and maybe we need to think about doing more of. But we haven't been consistent about scheduling them, and I'd like to be if we can.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I would rely on, getting some input from the Community Engagement Commission. And I believe they're scheduled to give a report on the next meeting. So maybe we can use part of that report's time to kind of discuss some of that. But I will say, council had previously talked about having kind of a rhythm of up to 2 a year. And so that wasn't necessarily something that had to be at 6-month increments, but just because of the planning and logistics and getting people to come and engage, trying to do more than 2 a year seemed like more than doable. Now that can change, obviously, This was a topic that this micromobility issue was a topic that came up specifically really from a timing perspective, because if there were going to be some changes made to enforcement of certain things, we wanted to have public feedback for that, plus an opportunity to have at least 60 days of education and outreach before the heavy biking season occurred. So that kind of drove the timing for this one. But agreed, we need to come back and readdress that so we have a better idea of what's going to be happening going forward.
And then my other thought with that while you were talking is that maybe if we had some ideas of what the council was interested in addition to what the Community Engagement Commission is interested in, maybe we could identify some of those topics for town hall at our retreat, because that would help set some of our own interests and ways to engage with the community too.
All right. Okay, Councilmember Ball.
Mark had told me that the county mitigation plan should be adopted in mid-March. So is there a possibility that we could have the discussion about hazard mitigation in the April 21st meeting?
We'll look at the schedule and see. I don't see anything on there for the 21st. Let's take a look and see.
And then additionally, the governance manual, we need to get back to that. We were so close.
Got it. All right. Anybody else? Okay, doke. All right, so we are, I'll get there. All right, citizen comments. If there's anybody, I must say it again, here in chambers who'd like to make a citizen comments, we've got a paper for you to fill out over on that table. If not, we'll also look and see if there's anybody online who'd like to make a citizen comment. Just shoot a note to the meeting host in the chat feature. Not hearing anybody or seeing anybody. We don't have an executive session, and if there's no more business in front of the council, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 8:01. Have a great night, everybody.